bring you some other news now. Gauteng ANC, Cosatu, Outer and other civil organizations all marching to the union buildings. Now, they say the march will not only focus on e-tolls, but the impact of the rising cost of living on the poor. Other issues include corruption, the poor state of public transport and high data costs, along with increasing fuel prices and the jump in value-added tax. ENCA's Samkele Maseko is tracking that story. He joins us now live. This is, of course, a live picture coming to us from the center of that march. Samkele, if you are able to hear us, just take us through what's unfolding there.
Yes, indeed, Michelle. They are marching through the streets of Pretoria right now, led by their provincial chairperson and premier, David Makhura, heading towards the union buildings to deliver their memorandum of demands, which is against e-tolls, the reducing of the cost of data. In my understanding, in the visuals that we are seeing now, we are on top of their truck. We are seeing thousands and thousands of ANC members and organizations such as Outer marching against e-tolls. As you can see right now, I think my colleague is showing you the provincial secretary of the ANC in Gauteng, Jacob Kawe, who's coming to the truck as it stands. He's just gone past. You can see the likes of Lebohang Maile, the likes of Mzandile Masina, the Ekurhuleni regional chairperson, and the mayor of Ekurhuleni. He's just going to try and show you shots of them turning around right now as we are going up Arcadia Street in Hatfield, Michelle.
So, Samkele, I think some of the conversation taking place about this march, of course, a number of people sort of in support of the issues that this march is focusing on, but confused by the fact that the ANC is marching on the ANC.
Yes, indeed. Our colleague Govan Whittles did pose that question to the Premier and Chairperson of the ANC, David Makhura, who had some sort of a bizarre answer when he says that you need to separate the ANC from government, saying that there is a distinct separation of powers between the two, saying that the ANC does not feature or does not have a directive of what particularly may happen in government, but provides a direction on policy direction of the ANC. We've seen the ANC of Gauteng Provincial Conference, if I'm not mistaken, which was covered by our colleague Olim Gambi back in 2014, 2015, when the ANC in Gauteng resolved that e-tolls should be scrapped, particularly after those 2014 local government elections, 2014 national general election, when the ANC lost a lot of electoral power here in Gauteng. If I'm not mistaken, they had dropped to about 52, if not 56% of the electoral base here in Gauteng. Fast forward that to the local government elections in 2016, when the ANC lost the total power of just below 50% in Tshwane, Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni, forcing coalition governments in those three metros. Obviously, the ANC gaining Ekurhuleni through a coalition with the AIC and the Patriotic Alliance, losing out in Johannesburg, and Tshwane to the coalition of the Democratic Alliance, where the Democratic Alliance voted with the Economic Freedom Fighters. So they are saying they are not marching against their government. They are here marching on raising issues facing the residents of Gauteng.
So some massive issues they are marching for and against, Samkele, the poor state of public transport, the high cost of data, e-tolls, the jump in VAT. I mean, these are all issues so close to the heart of consumers in South Africa. They've hit poorer South Africans the hardest. The question with these types of mass action, of course, is always what kind of real effect might it have?
Well, Michelle, they are saying that the stimulus package that the president has incorporated at a national level to cushion the poor from these various increases, such as the VAT increase, the high cost of data, the e-tolls. The president must come to Gauteng now and ease the burden of the e-tolls on the South African working class and predominantly the black majority in the province of Gauteng. They are saying they want a total they don't want an increase of the VAT. For instance, the Panyaza Lusufi is carrying a billboard saying 0% tax on basic needs. Mzandile Masina is carrying one that says that the people of Gauteng have spoken and e-tolls must fall. One of them is also carrying a placard saying data costs, e-tolls, cost of living must fall hard. And you've got Outers, David Hovenate, who's holding a placard saying that e-tolls, 34% revenue from 1% from central roads. Basically, this is a fight against the high cost of living for the residents of Gauteng. Whether it will have much of an impact, we do know that the President of the Republic of South Africa comes from Gauteng and is very close with the leadership of Gauteng in the province, who are very steadfast and very vocal on this issue that e-tolls must fall. You've had the likes of the Premier David Makhura, who is marching and leading this march as it stands, who are saying that Tito Mboweni must speak the language of the ANC, that e-tolls must fall, and they do not want e-tolls to hear for the people of Gauteng. They are saying they do not understand how Tito Mboweni has this view of saying that South Africans must adopt a culture of paying and they must pay for e-tolls. For instance, when Panyasa Lusufi was on the podium, he says that people must not change once they go into government. They must continue to pursue the policies of the African National Congress.
At what stage of the trek to the Union buildings is this march at the moment, and what happens once it's arrived at the seat of government?
Well, what we can say, Michelle, we are currently going past, we are going towards Hatfield right now. We are just approaching the Union buildings. In fact, I'm not mistaken, we are in Sunnyside. We are approaching the Union buildings, about 10 or 15 minutes away from the Union buildings. So we are pretty close from entering the Union buildings. We are not yet sure who will receive the memorandum of these marches led by Premier David Makhura, as the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa, is out in the Western Cape.
All right, thanks very much for that. Samkele Maseko, our reporter who's at the very center of that mass action making its way to the Union buildings. A whole range of issues being protested against there. The impact of the rising cost of living on the poor state of transport, high data costs, among a whole range of other issues, including e-tolls.